Hello everyone and welcome to this Lunch and Learn session today. My name's Tracy and I work for North Cumbria NHS Knowledge and Library Service, and these Lunch and Learns are delivered in collaboration with Boost, our regional learning and improvement colleagues. I'm particularly keen to welcome Kaye Walsh today, the lead nurse for North East and North Cumbria Congenital Heart Network. And Kaye is going to be talking to us today about Heart to Heart, which is a co-production of a peer support resource for young people living with congenital heart disease. On the next slide, we just have a few details about these Lunch and Learn sessions. They are a space for health and care staff to come together to share any experiences, to, of course, learn something new relating to health and care, with a focus on quality improvement, and naturally be signposted to further resources that might help you, your colleagues, your wider networks. The next slide just has a few protocols about today's session. We ask that you keep your webcams off during the presentation, and at the end you can pop your webcams off if you want to contribute to any comments or questions. Please make sure that you're on mute when, of course, you're not speaking, and you can use the chat function to pose any questions or make any comments, which we will refer to at the end. Please do listen with respect and be present, and teach this forward. Share this with your teams, departments, colleagues, wider networks, and do know that we are recording. The recording will be made available on the Boost YouTube playlist after the event, so you can share that too. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Kaye.
Thank you so much, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here this afternoon to share this piece of work with you, in the hope that it goes on to spread further across our region and indeed nationally. So please do bear that in mind, and how far this resource could be shared in your work if appropriate. So I am Kaye Walsh, and my role in the lead nurse for the network is big part of what I do is engaging with patients' families and really understanding lived experience, priorities for those living with this disease, and priorities for their healthcare, priorities for sort of developing services, what really matters to them, and really hearing that and listening to that, and then moving forward on appropriate work plans as and when we can. Big part of the listening that we did was with a group of young people, and that ranged from 14 through to 20 years old. And they came together sort of quite organically, really. They started off by getting in touch with me separately when they'd seen our posters go out across the website and things like that around being heard. And that's pretty much what our poster said, is like, tell us what matters to you, and your network is here now. This was in the early days, 3 or 4 years ago, and they were sort of, it said, just tell us what matters to you, and help us develop services further in your region. And we, very, very early on, there was a young man called Max, and he said to me, I wish I'd had somebody to talk to who'd walked the walk before me. And that really stuck with me, just there as a sort of, he just threw it out there. And I heard that and listened and thought, oh, okay, I'll give that some more thought. It was really poignant. They asked for an event where they could come together, be together with a similar disease, congenital heart, something wrong with the heart, but as a collective. They wanted to be in a safe room where the people kind of understood them. They all had a similar diagnosis or similar disease. So we held a graffiti project, and we reached out for some support locally from a creative organisation, and they helped support us to deliver a young person's graffiti project, which was phenomenal. I'll come on to that a little bit later on. And throughout that event, the key aim for us was to enable a space for them to be together, which we did, do something fun, because that's the nature of young people. That's what they wanted to do, but nothing too cheesy. They did say that. So give us something we could do, creative. So graffiti seemed to be what they wanted to do, and we were there to listen. These conversations that they had together was they just grew and they bounced ideas off each other, and they sort of co-created at that time without even knowing the idea for this resource. They wanted to have something that was accessible, where if they wanted to talk to somebody who'd walked the walk before me or found somebody who was similar to them, that resource would be there in the absence of a real person or of a real connection. They wanted something that wasn't out there. So we brought together many experts, again from the creative network, sort of our regional creative experts, and we brought them together and we did some sort of ideas around what was possible. And again, this was all led by the young people. The young people sort of decided who they wanted in that room. So, and that was the next phase of the project. Together, they inspired what led to be the creation of a film. So a film was the I guess the end goal, the purpose behind what they wanted. So just thinking about what I guess what they were trying to hang this film on, they were looking for peer support, and they wanted it as a tool to help them navigate what is normal during adolescence. Do you know, this sort of really complex point in time through adolescence where there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of hormonal changes. There's just, it's a very normal process, but it's quite turbulent and it can be quite challenging for many. And it's exacerbated significantly when you are also navigating a chronic disease. They were looking for peer support to help them be more independent, you know, to sort of move from that living with a chronic disease in childhood and the parents being very responsible through to much more of a young person managing their own health and health condition, with the sort of being able to be socially accepted as well and a part of those normal experiences, overcoming any stigma. And this is where they look to peer support to say, have you experienced this? To bouncing ideas, bouncing experiences. And they kept telling me that they didn't have that. So within this sort of, I guess, a model of peer support, it's just sharing, very much sharing the whole biopsychosocial issues, for want of a better word, of living with disease, but really openly, and then learning from each other. So what we know about young people living with complex chronic diseases, we know it persists for more than a year, requires this constant and consistent medical either intervention or consistently engaging with medical services, be that at a hospital, outpatient, going in for treatment, GP. You know, it's a very, very constant, never goes away. We know that with many complex diseases, in particular heart disease, there are significant impairments to function, and with that comes this sort of heightened risk of psychological comorbidities as well. So leaving our young people sort of even more at risk of becoming impacted by having poor psychological health. We know that in our area we have a significantly high rate of poverty and deprivation. And we know that there are negative outcomes related to that, again, exacerbated when you have a long-term condition. And we know that, as I've already alluded to, that during adolescent development, there's this whole sort of change going on. And that when you're living with a complex disease, it can also expose many of those things just a little bit more. So they're a bit more vulnerable in all of those areas. But we also know during all of this time that there is a heightened risk of disengagement from follow-up services, and the risk of to morbidity is just staggering if you become lost to follow-up. So we really need to try and protect the young people to have a seamless transition into adulthood, empowered, and they were looking for this sort of peer support in order to enable them to feel more empowered to do so. Just a little bit on co-production then, that we know co-production is the right thing to do. We know that it's certainly not easy. Engaging with our public, engaging with the public, engaging with patients is tricky and it's challenging, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy, but it's very much a sort of give, and it is overwhelming how much they will give back. So we give, and we give opportunities, and we sort of enable, and it is overwhelming what we get back in return from those with lived experience. They do want to share, and they do want to make a difference, and support others around them who are about to embark on adolescence, or who are younger than them, or who have had a very similar experience. The key elements, according to the Lundy model by Professor Laura Lundy, are to enable the space in order for that to happen. Really hearing the voice, to know that they are being heard. Where do you want the I guess the end product to land? What's the audience? Who are we trying to attract? And then what influence that can have in the space. And I'm delighted to be here today to share these things, to keep this ongoing momentum around this product that we've sort of this film that we've produced, because that's how they're going to influence others, certainly living with the disease, but other healthcare professionals, to really understand what their journey's like. I'm not sure I like the word journey, but sorry for using it. So we held the engagement event, just some graphics there to show how we did it. So we had a big space, got some graffiti experts with the help of my colleagues at Tin Arts, who are a local arts-based organisation who work with a huge amount of talented artists across our region. So they helped me pull in the right people to do this, and the young people produced their artwork. And as I suggested earlier, it was the listening during this event that really helped us to understand how they wanted to move the next part of the project. Part of co-production and working with young people in particular, it was really important that we had a psychological core safety to the whole project, enabling safe spaces and bringing together strangers. They are strangers and vulnerable young people, because they've never met each other before. They're really brave putting themselves forward for this kind of opportunity. But it was important that I had a psychologist from the Level 1 Centre who was there in the background, informing the project and just making sure that we'd considered any of the elements that may expose the young people to any harm, and just allowed me to discuss any concerns, any fears, any worries I had around bringing this group together with a psychologist expert. So enabling the safe space was just really making sure there wasn't anybody around who would make them feel uncomfortable. So it was very much an enclosed sort of space just for them. These experts had vast experience working with young people, and that really shone through. They were very, very experienced. But it was also important for us to manage the expectations that they were coming along of their free will to meet others who they'd never met before. These were strangers. The graffiti artists were strangers, and recognizing to them that this was really brave and outside of their comfort zone, but almost pre-preparing them that was going to be or to be expected, that they may feel a bit uncomfortable. But we were going to be there, me as the sort of familiar person throughout the whole project. I would be there consistently to maintain contact and listen to any concerns they had. It was important for us to support the individual experience. So I said there was a range of ages and all different sort of, I guess, levels of maturity, and understanding that our younger people may not have communicated as well with the older people, and that's just normal sort of adolescence, and we wouldn't expect them to. But actually the reverse happened, and the older people really brought the younger members of the group through and empowered them to have a voice. So that worked really really well for us. But it was really important that we did know each person coming, they weren't a collective, they were all individuals contributing to this with individual needs. The main thing we did on a regular basis on every contact was to stop, be in the room and say, remember what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that really drove the project forward. They had an end point. We gave them an end point for the for completion, and they all worked towards that. So they knew there was a real goal focused approach to this project, and they really embraced that. I just popped this slide in to show you that this is actually in the top right hand image there. That's actually one of the participants, his real bedroom at home. So they were all in. They were sort of thoroughly invested, saying, we are all in here. Come into my world. Come in and see what I'm all about. And I'm really proud of this, like my involvement in this. So it was really just to show you that we had complete and utter investment from the young people, and I couldn't be any more grateful for that. But as with any project, there were challenges. We couldn't be as inclusive as we wanted to do. Geographically, our region is vast, and with a limited budget, we couldn't be ferrying young people across. I mean, logistically, it was tricky anyway, but we couldn't be ferrying young people across all of the region. And similarly, we couldn't get the same experience taking teams of people across the region. So I am very aware that we weren't as inclusive as we could have been in the project with regards to reaching the geographical sort of boundary of our region. So I am very aware of that, and I probably would have done it differently, or I will do it differently when I do our next project in ensuring that I have costed in having different sites to deliver the project to enable more of our young people to access those opportunities to get involved. Funding, I don't need to tell anybody on this call about the challenges with funding. I was very, very fortunate to have accessed this pot of money for this project. But I can't envisage that money being there in the future. So we really need to think about how we do things differently from a funds point of view going forward. But I am hopeful, and I am now positive that we've created this. So as an example, when I'm trying to prove our next project, creating similar or in the same theme resources, I am hopeful that having this film now is evidence of what we can achieve together. The green box there, the negative response from school peers, was the one that really floored me and I really struggled with. I'm a nurse, and my main aim is to do no harm. And I felt that two of the young people involved in the film did experience harm as a result of being involved in this project. Harm in the sense that they had quite a negative response from some of their peers at school, who effectively bullied them and were mean and made them feel like what they'd done was not worth anything, and that they were quite ridiculous was one of the words that Ben's friends used, or not friends, peers in school. And we found that really difficult. So as a result of that, we had a regroup. They both reached out to me and told me this was happening. So we had a regroup, we had sort of snacks and things, and we brought everybody back together, and just allowing them that space to say, well, this person said this to me, this person said that to me. And then the older sort of young people that were involved, just supporting that conversation and listening to each other and saying, well, actually, what you've done is phenomenal. This film is wonderful. Let's remember that. These people don't really know, and unfortunately, we're never going to change the mind of those people. So they were so supportive. So actually, as a result of the project, they got their own peer support group from that, which was a positive out of a negative. So I'm not going to finish on a negative. I'm going to finish on a positive. In that, they did support each other through that challenge. And we had the psychologist there at the debrief. But just to sort of reassure anybody who's thinking about doing this project, they've all come back and wanted more. They've all come back to me, and we are working on another project at the moment, the grassroots of that project, and they're all still on board. So I'm delighted with that they want to come back and they want to do more. From a dissemination point of view, we shared it at the BCCA, which is the British Congenital Cardiac Association. That was our launch date. That was our end of project date, and we were given a plenary session, which was unheard of. But we were given a plenary session, and I took Hope. Hope's young lady stood next to me with the pink hair there. And she was one of the young people in the film. She stood on that stage in front of all of those medical professionals, and she told everybody all about it, what an experience it had been, how proud she was. So she represented the group on that stage, and she did a phenomenal job. So again, just showing you the value and the worth that really came out of the production of this project and the involvement from the word go. We've had 1,600 hits on YouTube already, which is great. It's shared nationally, and it's actually helped to further form connections and relationships in their small group. They've added other people in who they already had communication with, and they've continued their own WhatsApp group, supporting each other through conversations in hospital, things like that, and just generally day-to-day adolescent stuff, which is just phenomenal thing to come out of this project. Sharing is what we're all about. We need this film to go far and wide. It's not just for heart disease, it's for any young person living with a chronic condition, because the principles are all really embedded in the film. We are continuing to develop new resources, all led by the young people. They want schools resources now for awareness through schools. So that's the next part of our project, is what will work in schools. And we continue to listen and engage with the young people, because they drive forward everything we do.
So congenital heart disease means that when you were born, your heart wasn't like perfect.
I've got a single ventricle, so it's pumps its blood around on one instead of two ventricles, so it's one doing double the work.
People at school ask, how does it work? And I'm like, well, it's just normal, it's just how everyone's works, just has to work 2 times harder.
Going from class to class, it's just like very hard. Walking around the school, like getting upstairs and stuff. Sometimes you don't even have any energy to even learn.
The reality of like having heart condition is like in the winter it gets colder and you feel the cold more, and then you can get ill more. It's like takes just longer for us to recover because my immune system isn't as good.
It's hard not to dwell on it, as it can get overwhelming and it can control your thoughts. And I have been through some very rough patches, like growing up, because of my condition. Dear world, I'm writing to you on condition, not any condition, but mine. It's not something I talk about often, but now that you're listening, I'll speak, if you've time, if that's fine. It's about this heart that beats in my chest. I've been told from birth it wasn't working the best. Little heart, big start, and bigger questions to come. Let me explain. Congenital heart disease, CHD. Those are the words that were handed to me, to live with, to grow with, and to stay in the know with. If my condition was Scrabble, put it this way, I'd be wiping the board. And they're awkward, these words. Can be stressful and tiring and sometimes embarrassing, so's I'm not lying, when I wish I could just be the same as the rest. And I bet you're thinking, like so many do, about what CHD means I can't do. If you only knew What "why don't you just sit out" puts me through. I don't want to stand by, watch everyone else race, while I'm sent to the sidelines in a safe space. Watching life pass me by, that won't fly. And when I feel overwhelmed, I just want to escape, want to ditch it all and take off to get space. Who did you expect to see behind the title CHD? Someone weak and unheard? That's not it. That's just not me. I stay fit, healthy, eat well and rest. Take my medication, listen to experts who know me best. How it works, what to do, what my heart needs to cope.
Appointments. Will it go well? What's going to happen next?
What is going to happen next?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
I don't know what my medications are. I don't have a clue about medication.
I don't know what all the long words mean.
Will I make friends?
How will it affect my friendship?
The hospital.
Am I going to be able to meet people I can relate to?
I don't want my family to worry.
I don't want my family to worry.
I don't want to feel left out.
When familiar monsters crawl out from under the bed, storm clouds worry gather over my head. Shadows lurk, figures pushed down, let loose just by being said. But there's strength in my words, much more than you see, because there is so much more to what makes me, me. Living my life with all that I can, not heartbroken or heart wanting, but wholehearted, heart strong. Everyone's path is different, each map is your own. I take the words I'm given and add in my own. Taking part, talking, comfort, laughs and support. These are the words that are chosen by me to live with, to grow with and to stay in the know with. They are the words that beat in my core to rocket me on, to live by what I stand for. To never settle, be true to myself, run my own race at my own pace. Because me, I can be all I dream of and so much more. There is more to your world than you'll ever predict. And if others assume or restrict, then get them telt. Because can do is so much more useful than can't. Remember, you are not on your own.
So world, this letter isn't really for you.
It's for me. It's for us.
A manifesto, a pledge, a promise that means a lot.
To say aim high.
You can do it.
Believe it.
Why not?
Confidence has become over time. Confidence is a hard thing to have, but you have to train confidence. You have to build it. Life's like a tree. You all start the same, but you grow and you spread out in the different paths. Some might come the same paths, but branch out eventually. But I branch out from the bottom almost. I'm almost like a little shrub at the bottom, but finding my way to the top.
I want to be a biomedical scientist when I'm older, as in like a job. And Some people don't think I'd be able to do that because of my condition for some reason. But I will, and I will show them that I can be that biomedical scientist that I aspire to be.
If you believe that you can do it, then you can do it. Like, why not? Like, why can't you do it? Just, like, follow your dreams. Don't let anything stop you. Just believe in yourself.
Sorry. Right. Let me just escape out of there and share the very last of my slide, which is just the... Thank you. That's me. Thank you so much for listening. All my details are there. I'll pop my email address in the chat box. Any questions, any queries, anything you want to talk about, please do feel free to get in touch.
Thank you so much, Kaye. I think everyone will agree that that film that you have helped these young people to make is just really moving, and the first-hand experience really is an invaluable message when we're sharing anything far and wide. You clearly created a great psychological space for them to come together, and that peer support that they're still experiencing now, again, is really great to hear, and maybe something that they would never have experienced had they not been given the opportunity that you presented them with. So it's really commendable. Well done. Like Kaye said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to her and get in touch. But as we said at the start, this has been recorded, so please do share this far and wide with any of your wider networks. We will ask via email for some feedback on the sessions today, and it's just a really short 2-minute evaluation form to complete. And finally, if you know of or have any improvement stories that you'd like to see at future Lunch and Learns, please do get in touch. The next one I have posted in the chat, and it will be on the 29th of April. Learning from failure before it happens. It's the Sunderland approach. You can book via the Boost link on the chat now. And we just have a comment, Kaye, in the chat that's saying thank you for today, and that's really valuable work. So please pass on that too.
Yes,
super. Thanks everyone for attending, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks everybody.